Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Pitch, Season 1, Episode 5. It's called Alfonzo Guzman-Chavez. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, had a week off, had a nice week off to reflect upon the first four. Show's back, and this episode revolves around the trading deadline for the league. All the trades have to be in by a certain time to the dot, and they're all like panicking and try to build their teams for the rest of the seasons, for the playoffs and everything else.
So what I like about this idea for an episode is this isn't something that's just for baseball. Like this is something that happens in every sport. Deadline day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's so universal. That said, I think it's a little bit different in baseball where they like straight up just trade rather than buy. Because most sports I know, here they're like trading like player for player. It's not that. It's here's a certain amount of money for that player. So that was a bit.
They probably do both, I imagine.
Yeah, but I've never even seen like that trading thing in sports that I follow.
Oh, well. So what that does though is it gives the episode this like countdown the entire time. It literally it's almost like every like couple of minutes you get it's now 23 hours and 57 minutes till deadline, and it keeps counting down all through the episode. I'm not going to pretend to completely understand all of the trades that happen throughout the episode, especially when Oscar finally realizes what the other team needs, and that leads to him offering someone that's not Blip. But Blip makes him think of what he needs.
So yeah, no, what he did it was as a centre fielder, and then he goes, "Hang on, we can get a centre fielder from someone else on the cheap, and we can trade it for this guy, and we get profit essentially."
Okay, sure.
It was a case of he knows this team has a centre fielder that they don't need, and that this other team wants
I don't
one.
care. I'll take your word for it. I didn't care.
I thought it was explained pretty simply in the show, to be honest.
I didn't get it at all.
Oh. Fair enough.
Did not get it at all. But it doesn't matter. It's not really that important because you get what's going on. You get there's a deadline. You get that it's all crunch, all last minute. And Ginny's worried that Blip will get transferred. And she goes to Oscar. Well, her manager recommends that she go and demand that he not be moved. And I felt like this was poor advice.
Yeah, all she did there was plant the idea in his head.
Yeah, but even regardless of that, I just thought it was poor advice because this is not how it works. The players don't go and make these demands. This is not how it happens. And I actually kind of loved that Oscar got angry and was like, "What? No, this is..." And he put her in her place because she did step over a line.
I think that's the first instance I can think of where we've had her agent's career, because she was typically a Hollywood agent, right? And this is the first time we've seen that have an impact on Ginny. Whereas before, like, she's done very well, don't get me wrong. She's got her to this point. But now we understand where this can go wrong for her.
Yeah, because this does not work like Hollywood. It's not the same thing.
Exactly, yeah.
And I like that. I like that Oscar, blew up and put her in her place and said, "No, this is not how it works." All whilst having toothache, which was a nice sort of little thing that was ticking over throughout the episode as he was getting more tense.
Do you know what? I'm calling it on that. If he has an abscess, there is no way he is managing this perfectly fine. Those things are painful. Your mouth swells right up. No way is he not in agony. And like he's just on the phone all day. And by it.
Don't buy what?
And by that he can be on the phone all day. Like I've had one of these. It's not nice. It's really, really painful.
What? So you're criticising it and saying it's inaccurate?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, sure.
When you have this, you literally inside your mouth swells up. You can't speak properly, let alone like the way he's going on making all these deals and stuff.
To be fair, the diagnosis comes from his assistant.
Well, yeah.
No doctor actually tells him that's what he has. She makes a guess.
That's true. But he does. But they refer to it as that multiple times, so you just assume that's what it is.
they're not doctors. I can let that go. They're just making assumptions there. Who knows what he actually has? You know, I think that's nitpicking in a
I am
really
nitpicking,
weird way.
but it just stuck out to me.
I thought there was some fun stuff in this episode. I really liked Amelia's accidentally telling Elliot about her and Mike, and the constant walking away and coming back to add more information to it.
I had a lot of fun with things like that in this episode.
Yeah, because typically this whole them coming out as a couple could be really irritating, but every part of it was
Amusing.
Dare I say, charming at points.
Yeah.
So so that was nice. Of course, Ginny's reaction to it at the end was kind of interesting because she seems okay with it with Amelia, but then as soon as Mike tries to call her, she ignores the call.
Yeah. Some double standards at play there.
I don't think it's double standards. I think that's the wrong interpretation.
Well, no, I don't mean against like for it being men or women, or I just mean like the idea that she's okay with it for one person but not for the other.
No, that's not how I read it at all.
Did you not think she's okay with it at all?
I don't think she's okay. I think she lied because she didn't want to appear that she's not okay with it. But she doesn't have to do that when she can just ignore the phone call. Like,
yeah.
That was her. That was showing how she really kind of felt weird about it.
Okay.
So,
see, I got it as she was like almost okay with it there, but then not from the other side for some reason.
Nah, I didn't get that.
Okay. Maybe I'm just wrong there. Probably am.
But so we've got all these trades going on. In fact, speaking of people getting angry at Ginny, it happens twice in this episode because Blip gets angry at her because she keeps like being worried and like, oh, maybe it won't happen if you do this, and he's actually genuinely quite worried himself, and he sort of flips his shit at her because she almost wants reassured when he's the one who wants reassuring.
No, I guess it's another one where it feels justified. This is his thing. It's his family that's going to have to move, and she's worried about herself. It's kind of selfish, really.
Yeah. No, I thought all that stuff was I thought it made for a sort of tense episode where it had nothing to do with the games. In fact, they even mentioned multiple times they're on a winning streak. The games are going fine. They're going great. Like, no need to worry. Do you know what I loved though? There was a really nice swerve in this. A curveball, if you will. That was good. Come on, that was good.
I'll grant it.
Right. But what I liked is they introduced this guy, Chuck, right, who we've not seen before, and they're talking about how the trades might take people away, and I'm like, as a viewer of stuff, where you've maybe seen a lot of TV and stuff growing up, you're like, all right, the new guy that we've not seen before, who are pretending has been there the whole time, is the one that's going to go.
Yeah, it's usually the one that's dying in that episode.
Exactly. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, he's a red shirt, essentially, but in baseball. And he does get transferred. And it's like, okay, right, that happened. And then at the end, he gets transferred back. But then you find out... Then you find out the character that we've actually had for the whole show, that's been here for every episode, is the one that moved. Tommy, the one that was really sort of aggressively against her at first, but they kind of bonded. Either last episode or episode, 3 or 4, I can't remember which one it was.
This week off's throwing my perspective.
Yeah, I can't tell now because we had that week off. But, so they actually kind of bonded, and even had like a sort of nice moment in this where they were, like, he actually asked her out to go for a run so they could talk.
Yeah, to take their minds off things and stuff.
Yeah, so like they had kind of bonded. So there was actually kind of like even though all it is has been transferred to another team, it felt like, oh my god, he just died.
It is essentially though. It's kind of losing one of the family, isn't it?
Yeah. So I thought that was a nice swerve because they almost play it. They almost play with our expectations because we assume the one that we've not seen before is the one that'll go.
Yeah, and then then the alternative is if they're going to get rid of someone we know, you think, they'll do it to a Blip as like, to have the big impact.
Big impact, but we'll probably, because the thing is, if they did do it with Blip, I'd still expect to see his like story play out.
Yeah.
Whereas with Tommy, I can buy that we're just not going to see him until maybe when they have a game against his team at some point.
That's what I was just going to say, as a rival, and that'll be interesting, I think.
Yeah. So, I thought that was a nice little subversion of expectations, in a sort of meta way, because it's not necessarily an in-story thing. It's more of we just expect it from an outside point of view, because that actor's obviously just a guest star who's here for one episode and he'll be gone. So no. Flashbacks, let's talk about flashbacks.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were even going to get flashbacks this episode because it took so long to get to the first one.
Yeah.
It took a while.
It really did.
But I did think it was weird that the flashbacks themselves started with like the final flashback and then said 3 days earlier. I thought that was a little bit clunky because it's weird because then it cuts back to present day and then it goes back to the 3 days before and the flashback and
Yeah, it just feels a bit convoluted.
I don't even think they needed it. Like I feel like if you just didn't do that first and just started at the start and just let it play out, it would have worked just as well.
Arguably better.
Yeah, maybe because you wouldn't be going, oh, something bad's going to happen, and this is why there's this tension.
Yeah,
know?
because obviously flashbacks in the first episode led to something bad happening. But ever since then, they've just been fleshing out the story. And I think this one would have worked better if you just assumed this was another part of fleshing out a story till you get to the end and you're like, oh, damn, that's what happened.
Yeah. I have mixed opinions on this series of flashbacks. A couple of critiques. I do think the drunk, because obviously the flashbacks are about Ginny and her sort of probably our first like close friend, I guess.
Yeah.
At least we assume so. She seems like she didn't have a lot of friends growing up.
Definitely her first like friend in the baseball areas.
Yeah. And she befriends him, and there's even this like there's a nice moment when he starts to just talk. He just wants to talk to her because he's new to the team, and she's like showing him the ropes, and he tries to just sort of talk about movies or whatever, and she immediately goes on the defensive and says, "I don't date players," and he's like, "Well, neither do I. I just try to be friends. Like, you just try to be friends. Like, calm down, women." And they become friends. But one of my critiques of these before we even get to the ending and where it leads to, is I felt like their ages in this series of flashbacks was really confused. I had no idea what age these two were meant to be this entire time.
Do you know the part that really threw me off? When they were in the car listening to Katy Perry's Teenage Dream, I was like, hang on, how long ago was that?
But it says at the start 2010, so it's 6 years ago. And
yeah.
But we know because of where it links to the flashbacks in the first episode, it's when she gets accepted into the minor leagues. Because remember that happened right before the end of those flashbacks in the first one. But at the same time, there's like moments where, and again, I feel like her I don't date players feels more of an older Ginny thing. Like I wouldn't expect that from her at such a young age, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then there's scenes with them lying down watching TV, like they're 12 years old.
It was all over the place.
And then the dad has to give him a lift home, and it felt like taking the kid's friend back to their house. It was weird. It was like, are they like 18? Are they 12? What? Like
It's like, are they 20? Are they 16? Like, I don't know how old she's meant to be now though, so I can't work it out.
I don't know. I have no idea. It probably told us in the first episode, but I can't remember.
Yeah, but that was a while ago.
Yeah. But 6 years ago, 18 sounds right. If she's like 24 now, that sounds reasonable.
I'm looking at the actress was born in 89.
That's my age. That's 27.
Right, so 6 years ago, she's been 21. Assuming that, same ages. That seems a bit old, doesn't it?
Yeah, to be like, I need to take you home to your dad. Like, you're 21, he can get his own way home.
Yeah, they looked like they were meant to be younger than that, for sure.
Yeah, even the way like Ginny was riding on her bike, like
it was a very like teenage thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and not even old teenage. It felt like 14 or something like that. It
yeah,
felt
like
early
14
teens,
to 16 maybe.
Even 16 feels too old. I think it feels earlier teens to me.
Fair enough.
But like I say, it's a critique because I feel like it was all over the place. Like I had no idea what age they were meant to be.
Yeah, I don't either, and it is genuinely a little bit confusing because it kind of really throws a lot of it into question.
Yeah,
it's like why is this happening if they're whatever age?
It's weird, because I feel like not much of it has to change. You can still do the major beats, and that's that this kid, his dad's like an alcoholic, and he never goes to his kids' games. And Ginny's father, being who he is, like when they're at this big game, he makes a call. Like for a minute, I thought he was actually going to drive to the house and like drag his ass out of the house, but I was like, that'll be a bit far. But then he just makes a phone call. I'm like, okay, this is more reasonable. Yes, make a phone call and just just say like your kid will appreciate it if you show up. And he sort of like wakes up from being drunk on the couch and listens to the call and the answering machine and rushes over in the car, completely drunk, out of his mind. And
also clearly the game has ended because it's dark out.
yeah, do you know what's funny about it is because of the age thing and because they felt way younger, I didn't think this was going to connect to the opening episode. I thought, do you know what my actual thought was when he was in the car? I'm like, this is weird. He's going to crash, but that's going to feel really repetitive because that's how Jenny's dad died.
No, I got it as soon as he got in the car. I was like, "This is the crash?" Like,
well, no, see, I had the thought, but I dismissed it immediately because I thought they were younger.
No, I get it. That's what I was like.
Yeah.
I was confused that it was going to be because it's so obvious that it was the crash at that point, and I was like, but you don't think it could be? It's like, wait, this is it?
It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. But then it crashes, and obviously we see him look over, and Ginny's sitting there crying her eyes out, and it's like, oh, it's that scene. But then part of it doesn't even add up then, because like, if he never went to the game, wouldn't Ginny's father be taking this kid home? But we know he wasn't in the car from the first episode. It honestly kind of reeks of they thought of this idea later than the first episode, and they've tried to sort of retcon it in, but it doesn't. Really
it's fit. Like he took the kid to the game. Wouldn't he take him back?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. He literally drives him to the game because they're sitting in the car listening to that stupid song.
Yeah, Katy Perry, and it also seems because it's like her dad, from what we've seen of him, doesn't seem like the type of person who would just leave a kid there at night.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense that you wouldn't drive him home.
It just doesn't add up.
I mean, sure, you could have like a one line of dialogue where another kid's father says, "Oh, I live near him, so I'd
have appreciated that, to be honest.
It just feels weird. Like, I don't know. So I assume this is a guy who we'll see maybe in present day at some point.
Feels like they developed him too much not to.
Yeah, I will say this. This isn't really a complaint or or whatever. It's just that this actor, he's got big nostrils.
He does.
I was very distracted in his first scene just at how big his nostrils were.
That's what it is. I was trying to figure out what it was when I was looking at him. I was like, something's a bit off. Yeah.
I'm just,
You're right. I'm thinking back. It is the nostrils.
Yeah, you could shove. I don't know. You could shove a sausage up those things. But no. So that's the flashbacks, and like I'm okay with this whole like revealing who the like. I don't think we needed. It could have just been a random thing,
It's another one of those things where I think it almost would have had more impact as a random thing because it's like just there is no control, no one had anything to do with it. It's just a freak accident, and that's kind of worse.
Yeah. I don't know. It does add like a bit of poignancy though that Ginny's father kind of caused. Like, they didn't. Obviously, it's not his fault, but in a weird like roundabout way, he.
I guess the message is him trying to help made things worse.
Yeah, which is what Ginny tries to do in present day, and she makes things worse.
Yeah, that's a really clunky thematic link.
It is, because the way Ginny tries to make things better or help is obviously wrong from the get-go, and clearly she's stepping over a line. Whereas what her father does in the past, I would argue, is not stepping over a line. It's actually just a good bit of advice. Like, I don't think he did anything wrong.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, because I think almost, if not all of the previous flashbacks have had decent thematic links at the very least. They've made sense within the episode. This one felt like, oh, we need to have something for a thematic link, and it just felt clunky.
Yeah, I feel like this should have been saved for when this guy does pop up in present day. Or...
Yeah, and have this mirror here, like have him there, and then we see how they became friends in the flashback.
Yeah,
would have made sense.
Yeah, because you could have almost done a nice twist. Like, when it was revealed at the end that this led to her dad's death, that could have been a big impact. Like, because we wouldn't have known in present day. Like, they'd have been awkward with each other the whole time, and we wouldn't know why.
And then you'd get to the end, you'd see it, and you go, it would have just been so much better.
So, I really don't get them putting these flashbacks in this episode. Regardless of the complaints of the whole weird age thing, where it doesn't add up.
No, just thematically and from a storytelling perspective, it just doesn't work for me.
Which is a shame, because there is a nice couple of moments in it. But
yeah, that's the thing. The flash themselves, again, ignoring the age things, they're not bad. They just don't work for the overall narrative.
Yes. Yeah, it's a shame, but I think the rest of the episode though was good. So
Yeah, it reminded me that, like, obviously with this week off, that I actually really like this show.
yeah, yeah. Mike messing up and like accidentally calling what's her face, Amelia a groupie was
Yeah.
was good stuff. I really like Ginny like watching TV and playing video games with her. I was gonna say nephews, they're not actually nephews, but you know they're basically nephews.
Yeah.
Blip's kids. That was good stuff. And like sneaking in the TV show after Blip walks out of
Yeah.
the room. So you realise they're 7.5.
I did find that funny. I was like, okay, a couple more years. He's like, really? All right, 5 or 6 years.
I'm pretty sure I was watching way worse things than what they were watching at 7.
Yeah, probably.
I'm pretty sure Die Hard was a staple of my my viewing by the time I was 7. So
That's fine.
wouldn't worry about it too much. But no, that's Pitch. Solid episode with some issues with the flashbacks.
Yeah, but the main narrative was great, I thought.
It is. I am wondering like how long the flashbacks will go. I don't think they can go forever. Certainly because I feel like the more we fill out Ginny's backstory, we're going to get to a point where, alright, we've had all these beats, it's going to start to feel unrealistic if there's more, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
we've seen some other shows do that.
Yeah, we have. Arrow. So I would hope that maybe they limit it to a season 1 thing, maybe. Like spend a year, fill it out, and then
And
season
move
2.
on. Just clean break, yeah.
And even if they want to keep the flashback structure, they can do, but it wouldn't be flashbacks to her past. It'd be flashbacks to,
Even just show other characters things. Like when you introduce a new character, which happens fairly often, I think, in stuff like this, because you've got rotating casts.
We keep hearing about Oscars growing up in a poor town in Mexico City. I mean, give us some of that story or whatever.
But, when they bring in a new guy,
Yeah.
just show us a bit of his backstory.
Speaking of, we had a new club owner or whatever running the place.
Yeah.
I kind of liked him actually. I liked how he was. He seemed very supportive. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Oh, but by the way, there's no limit. Because that scene actually accented it perfectly when he says there's no limit as he walks out the room, and then Oscar just goes, "Aye, but the budget." Like, aye, the one thing that's always the limit is still the limit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun.
It is. There's a lot of fun elements to the show. And the character building is mostly pretty good. And stuff that could be really tedious, like the relationship between Amelia and Mike, actually fun and charming. And at least so far. Actually, another scene I loved, Blip figuring the whole thing out.
Yeah, and then immediately going, "Why'd you tell me? You know I can't lie to my wife."
Because he's like, and the only thing, the only evidence he gets is that some woman calls Mike and he ignores it, and he's like, "Wait, the only reason why you would ignore that is if you were already with someone and it was more serious. But why wouldn't you tell us? It's someone close to home."
Yeah,
And you wouldn't tell
it's only if
me.
there's consequences, and then it means
Yeah.
if there's consequences, it's something personal. And if you're not telling me, it means it's someone I
Close to
know and
me.
it has consequences to me.
But it's not Jenny because you're not that crazy.
Yeah.
That was good. So yeah, that's Pitch. We're enjoying Pitch. So by all means, let us know what you thought of this episode. Like and subscribe and all that stuff helps us out a lot. And yeah, we'll be back next time with episode 6. See you then.